Deputy Premier and Minister for Environment, Natural Resources and Climate Change, and Representative for the 3rd District, Honorable Julian Fraser, Director of Program Delivery of the RDA, Mrs. Shana Smith-Archer, other RDA staff, Deputy Secretary of the Ministry of Environment, Natural Resources and Climate Change, Ms. Luann Hodge, community members, partners, and friends, good evening. It is my privilege to welcome everyone as we mark a significant step forward in the stewardship of our marine environment and the revitalization of the Seacoast Bay Harbour. The presence of derelict vessels poses significant environmental and navigational hazards, threatening the delicate marine ecosystem and the safety of those who use the harbor. This initiative is more than a cleanup effort. It reflects our firm commitment to protecting and restoring the natural beauty and integrity of our environment. And it also reflects our commitment to safety and economic vitality of our coastal waters. These abandoned and deteriorating vessels have long posed environmental hazards, navigational risks, and visual blight to one of our most treasured harbors. Their removal is a necessary and long overdue action. We appreciate the collaboration of all agencies, stakeholders, and community members involved in this endeavor, whose dedication and cooperation are essential to the success of this project. As we begin this process, let us also reaffirm our dedication to responsible marine practices, to preserving our maritime heritage, and to ensuring that Seacoast Bay remains a place of pride for generations to come. Thank you for your presence and your support and your commitment to this important cause. Once again, good evening. It is now my pleasure to welcome a leader who is championing the protection of our environment and the sustainable development of our natural resources. As Deputy Premier, Minister for Environment, Natural Resources and Climate Change, and also the representative for the 3rd District, he is at the forefront of key initiatives addressing climate change, natural resource management, and environmental protection in the Virgin Islands. He continues to champion the preservation of our natural heritage and the well-being of our community. Please join me in welcoming the Honorable Julian Fraser to deliver his remarks.
Thank you very much. I noticed you didn't identify yourself. This is Tessa Smith, the Assistant Secretary of the Ministry for Environment, Natural Resources and Climate Change. She has some deep roots around here, right up there in the state there. My grandmother used to live up there. So she has an interest in getting Seacoast cleaned up as well. I'm here in 2 different capacities. One as district representative and the other as minister responsible for the environment and climate change. And it's been 8 years since those vessels found themselves lost at the bottom of the Seacoast Bay Harbour in one condition or the other. I don't know exactly what condition they are in, but you could imagine what state they're in. I have been out of government since 2011, so outside of any administration with any power to do anything. That's a total of, 11, 14 years, somewhere around there. And to be honest with you, it's not that nothing has taken place since those vessels got stuck in the bottom of Seacoast Bay Harbour, because the government of the day since 17, the government of the day found it convenient to spend $1.5 million on two separate contracts, that's $750,000 each, to suck the mud from around those vessels instead of taking the vessels out of the harbor. I spoke about it at nauseam. And, it just probably just fell on deaf ears. I watched this government, this VID government, spend an entire administration, and those vessels are still in the harbor. Now, this is the second time around. And as fate would have it, it's nothing that was planned, nothing that I saw coming. I ended up with that particular administration, this particular administration, and still having those vessels in the harbor. I must give the Premier credit, because it's not that I walked with a sledgehammer and threatened him and told me he had to take them out. He knew that he had to do something. So he made the funding available for us to remove those vessels from the harbor. Instead of the ministry itself engaging in executing the work, my deputy secretary is here, she can attest to the form of paralysis that government finds itself in executing projects. We resorted to leaning on our neighbors here, Recovery and Development Agency, who by mandate should have been out of commission by now. But they've done such a wonderful job vis-a-vis executing government projects that we have decided to keep them on. And we're going to change your designation to something else soon, rather soon. But dig in your heels, because there's a lot of work that we're going to expect you to do for us. This is just one of those projects that we want you to do. I presume that I would not take the gathering here this evening as an indication of the interest, because I believe it's greater than what I'm seeing here, to engage in the removal of those vessels. Mr. Archer here will explain to you what their expectations are. My expectations are very simple, and that is to get them out of the harbor. How you do it, when you do it, when is important, but I'm not going to set that deadline. But that is the government's expectation. And then we can move on to other things. Because God knows there are a lot of things to be done. My constituents of the 3rd District, the expectations are high, because there are a lot of things that need to be done in the district. As you will see, what I intend to do is, after the RDA leaves here this evening, is engage in other conversations regarding matters of concern in the district, because I know it would be disingenuous of me to come here and just speak about just that. So I hope you don't mind, Shane. I took the opportunity to piggyback on your efforts. We've been trying to get this meeting scheduled for some weeks now, right?
Yeah.
Because, as you all know, the season that we're in right now is the graduation season. And every time I pick a night, Shayna would tell me, but isn't that a graduation? Isn't that a graduation? So I said, I told my private secretary, look, you Thursday night. So, as fate would have it, I'm supposed to be in the House of Assembly right now. But I'm here, because I can't have this thing drag on and on and on and on. So I thank you for coming. I hope that you gather enough information to interest you in participating in the bidding or whatever the process might be to get these vessels out. We don't want to hear any excuses. We want to know. Thank you. Turn it over to now to the RDA, Ms. Shayna Smith-Archer.
Thank you, Mr. Minister. Knowledge of protocol already established. Good evening, everyone. All right, my job tonight is to present or give an overview of the project that the Ministry of Environment, Natural Resources and Climate Change has commissioned the RDA to implement on their behalf. Kathy, I don't know how I'm going to do this because I need to. Well, I was planning to stand up, but I guess I could do it. Everybody can see the screen, so we'll go through information as it relates to that. So we'll do a overview of the project in terms of the scope, let everybody know what the status is, and then we'll open up the floor for questions and comments as far as anything that may not have been said, persons need to get clarity on, or additional suggestions on the project and what it is that we're engaging to do. Okay? Here we go. All right. So the project overview, as the ministry would have mentioned, we're looking at 31 derelict vessels currently now in the Sea Causeway Harbour, and I actually have a list. Tessa, can you pass this around? So that can circulate while I'm presenting, so persons can get an idea of the list, and I'll speak more about it in a few. The why, again, that has already been touched on: protect the marine environment, improve safety and navigation, enhance visual appeal and community pride. And the project owner is officially the Ministry of the Environment, Natural Resources and Climate Change, and implementation is being undertaken by the VI Recovery and Development Agency. So there are a couple parts to the contract now that we're currently tendering. Essentially removal of the vessels, disposal of the vessels. So it's not that persons are going to be asked to just take them out, but it is going to be a matter of actually processing them and disposing of them, whether it's overseas or locally. So we'll also touch on that. But as it relates to the removal of the vessel, the expectation that we have set in the RFP that is currently in circulation is that the contractor will identify a landing site. So as most people know, the vessels are essentially wrapped around the harbor from one end to the next, starting off with Manual Reef Marina all the way to the point, just after what we call Elevator Hill. And therefore, it's going to be not just one area, but the contractor will have to figure out, how exactly we're going to move them and then essentially land them. Make the vessel safe. This will involve removing all the fluids, whether it's fuels, oils, or any other hazardous liquids that may still be there, and then transporting to what is referred to as the staging area. Okay? So once they've been made safe and where required, broken into transportable segments, these will be moved to the staging area, and that location is where they will be processed as far as the different waste streams. Majority of the hulls are fiberglass. There are a few metal ones that will have to also be removed. That's included in the list, and you'll see them in the list that's circulated. And we know vessels obviously have metal parts within aluminum, so all of this is part of what has to be essentially dismantled. Okay, and then from there, disposal method. Clearance of remaining loose debris and site cleanup. We've also mandated as part of our environment management requirements that we clear debris up to 50 feet around each vessel. Now, each vessel is in different conditions. Some are actually submerged, some are partially submerged, some are somewhere in between. So it's something though that we want to make sure again that we do cleaning of the harbor. So it's not just going to be we pull out the boats, but that we make sure that we leave the environment in a much better condition than where it was. Staging of the vessel. So again, this doesn't necessarily have to happen here in Sea Causeway. So that's one of the things where we are leaving it for the contractor who will receive the bid to propose where this is going to be done in an appropriate manner. And again, it will have to be guided by an environmental management plan. Processing, again, the contractor is responsible for this, and it's part of the bid. We're expecting that they would suggest or propose what will be done with minimal environmental damage, and then the disposal. So the bulk of the expected waste streams, again, are metal, wood, and the fiberglass. And the contractor will be responsible for organizing the disposal, whether locally and or overseas, and all waste will be tracked to its final destination as part of the project. So it's not going to be, we're being prudent and diligent in that it's not just that it leaves the territory, but that it actually is going to somewhere where it can either be further disposed of in terms of the processing of it, or in the case of, let's say, metal, that it's being recycled. So that will be part of it. Locations of the vessels, so this is just the overview of the map, and again the list that is circulating, that is the list that we are looking at right now in terms of the first area. So the project status. Public notice was issued by the Virgin Islands Shipping and Marine Authority, that's the formerly known as the Shipping Registry. And what has to happen is essentially before government can take possession of these vessels, we have to make effort to notify the owners essentially. So they would have had 60 days from 1st of May 2025 to essentially notify the BIMA if they are interested in removing and ask time to do that. As of this week, one person did notify Mr. Samuel and his team as it relates to wanting time to remove the vessel. So that is in process, but as far as it stands right now, they are actually going through the legal process now of doing what we call receivership. And that is where now the boats will become the property of government. And at that point, then we will be given written permission to go ahead with this project. So in the interim, what we have done now is we started advertising the tender for the procurement of the vessel removal services that I described previously. That is expected to run until the 11th of August. At that point, all bids will be in and then the evaluation will start. For persons who may be interested, there's still time to request the bidding package. You can do so by sending an email to procurement@bvirecovery.vg. All right? And we will send the package, and from there you'll be able to get all the requirements, the list of the boats and everything that's going to be expected for contractors to send in. We also will be contracting someone called a site supervisor, and they will be assisting the RDA project manager and environmental specialist as far as the daily oversight of the project. So you will also see a tender advertisement for that shortly. Okay, so it won't be the boats going back out, but it is an additional resource person that is needed for the project. The expectation right now, based on our schedule, is to commence works in October 2025. So again, once the bids come in July, we go through a process of evaluation, then the board has to approve it, the contract is prepared, and we get to work. Now, I have estimated duration 2 to 3 months as well as a start. So we all know that the peak hurricane season now starts around September, October. So again, whilst we may have a contract in place, we will assess at that time whether we think it would be prudent to move forward right away or if we need to delay a month to about November when things start to take off. Okay? But we'll update the community as it relates to when works will actually start so that everyone is aware of what to expect, where the staging area is, because that would also have transportation implications as far as what's being done. All right, and I believe that's the last piece. So during works, all the works will be guided by an environmental management plan. We expect there will be increased activity around the harbor, but again, we will have our communication team releasing notices to the stakeholders in the immediate vicinity to keep them abreast of the project status and what's happening at any given time that may impact the business operations in that area around the marina. Safety measures will also be required of the contractor and put in place. Maybe possible noise, because you will see where there's some, I think there's one that's right up in this harbor against private land. So again, as we progress with the project and we go through, we'll be making sure that any neighboring stakeholders are aware of what's happening and what is being done and how it will be done. The channels are expected to remain open as well as a marine shelter during the storm. This was a request from the Department of Disaster Management because the ferries, as persons would have observed over the years, they still, if there is a storm warning, they still anchor in the harbor. So we want to make sure that, again, during the progress of the project, that we don't hinder anything should something come up unexpectedly. So community engagement, and this is the last slide. So the community's role. So I'm going to invite now our community liaison officer to come forward, Ms. April Glasgow, to speak about what's referred to as the grievance redress system. Thank you. Sorry.
Oh, I can just stand here. Is it?
You want me to advance it for you?
Thank you. Oh, it's working. Good night, everyone. I'll be really quick. So I'm April Glasgow. I'm the Community Liaison Officer with the Recovery Development Agency, the Virgin Islands Recovery Development Agency. And tonight's very short presentation is about our GRS, which is a grievance redress system, which I manage along with the Director of Program Delivery, Shana Smith-Archer. So what's the GRS? It was created for members of the public to lodge a complaint or a grievance. And what do? I pretty much go out into the community. If there are any grievances that arise with different projects, then you can talk to me. You can call me, you can email me, or any member of our team, and we have an actual process that I'm going to go through. Very, very short process, but it is thorough in the assessment of the issue. So we conducted like an initial review. We go out to the individual if it is an issue that's on site. We take pictures. We question the contractor, the project manager, almost everyone involved, and I will produce a report that basically says, hey, this is what has happened, and you as the complainant get some input as well into that report. These are just a few examples of some grievances that could possibly arise, but not with this project, because we won't have any grievances in this project, right? One example is a loss in sales and business as a result of numerous and continuous road closures. That's not going to happen with this project. Or construction workers are placing garbage in the gutter near the high school's compound. These are just examples of what has been reported before. And the GRS timeline, so when you do lodge a complaint, it will be acknowledged within 1 day, and within 30 days, we will come to a decision on said complaint. Then you get 15 days to appeal said decision, and then it will go into the appeals process. And that's it. Please contact me if you think you're gonna need to contact me in the future about this or any projects implemented by the Virgin Islands Recovery Development Agency. Thank you so much. Short and sweet. If you have any questions, please let me know. Great, thank you.
Yeah, just to bring up the as far as the team. Okay, that's good. Still showing on the phone.
Okay, just close.
Okay, go ahead. All right, so just two other persons I want to introduce everyone to, and then we open up the floor for questions. With me tonight, I have Mr. Kevin Davis. Kevin, he is the project manager, so he is the face, essentially, of the project on behalf of the RDA, and we also have our environmental specialist, Mr. Clive Petrovic, Wade Clive. And they are the ones, in addition to April again, that may be engaging with the community as it relates to the project, liaising with the contractor, definitely as we progress the project along. All right. So on that note, Mr. Minister, I think we'll open the floor for questions.
I just want to say that the presentation being by both you and April was excellent.
Thank you. All right, so we have a mic at the front. So we're asking persons, questions, comments, ideas, suggestions. Feel free. Sure.
Yeah, I think you speak loud enough.
Well, we're streaming online, so we need our online audience to also hear you. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Julian Willock. Quick question. Before the 2017 hurricane, there were some other boats in that harbor, including a big badge or party boat. Is that a part of the movement?
Yes, it is. It's part of the list and circulated.
If you could find the owner for it, you'll probably have him pay for it.
Good evening, Dylan Penn. Just a few questions. In terms of, I know you spoke about the environmental management plan. As part of the bid, would the contractor be responsible for creating the environmental management plan, or is the environmental management framework already prepared for the project in terms of any limitations on how the vessels will be handled and how the different lubricants and fluids and stuff?
Thank you for that question. This is a framework. So this is the document I was referring to as far as the environmental management requirements. So this is a part of the tender pack, and the contractor basically are expected to take this and create the plan based on what they're proposing.
So they would create the environmental management plan,
Yeah,
the entire plan based on
based
that?
on this, yeah.
Okay, so that would be given out in the
Yeah.
bidding process. In terms of the boats that I know Mr. Willock mentioned one, but there are other boats that I've seen. I'm just wondering when the count was done in terms of those vessels, and if there's any room to modify that count based on boats that may have been missed, or smaller vessels, or even boats that had appeared soon after the storm, or months after the storm or so on.
So this survey was actually done last year. So anything that is there basically, whether it was from the storm or before the storm, is part of the count.
Okay,
So unless something is submerged and was missed. And again, during the project, if we do basically have discovery, then we'll address them at that time.
And if there are other vessels, because I'm just a quick scan over there, I know that there's one or two that I know that are there that probably weren't counted. Well, I didn't see them numbered, so I could probably talk to you about that.
Yeah, we can look at the list that we have circulating,
Yeah.
and see if they're on there, and if not, then we can take a look at that.
Am I understanding you to mean that when this cleanup is completed, there should be nothing in the harbor? That nothing in the harbor that's not moving. That's what I'm understanding.
That's the gist.
Is that you understand?
Yeah.
Sure.
And 50 feet around each one, Mr. Willock, I got you.
Good night, all.
Good night.
So, good night, Honorable Fraser, Ms. Smith also. So, I have 3 questions. Does the cleanup include the removal of the piles in the harbor also?
Piles?
So, when you did your overview of the community, there are some piles in the harbor right here that are close to the dock. There's also some derelict cars on the dock, and there's some derelict cars in the harbor itself. So I would like y'all to take a look into that also and get those removed if they aren't a part of the cleanup process. Also, will the harbor be dredged after? And timeline, if y'all have thought about it. And what proactive measures are being put in place so this expense doesn't fall on the government again?
Okay, so as it relates to anything that is not a vessel, no, they are not currently a part of the scope, but the ministry is here tonight, so it will be for them to decide whether or not anything else will be added. As it relates to, the second question was around
The dredging.
the dredging. No, that's not currently a part of the scope. And in terms of the proactive measures, that would be a matter for the Virgin Islands Shipping and Marine Authority as far as what's required, because as most persons would be aware, there was a wide spread of derelict vessels around the territory, and there's a concern as it relates to, owners, whether they had insurance or not. It's a matter now that it's left for the government. So it's something for the Deputy Premier and his team now to figure out from a legislative standpoint, but I will allow him to speak more to that.
Yeah, and the issue of the piles that you're talking about, those piles are not going anywhere. The piles are there to demarcate the extent of any reclamation in the harbor, and it demarcates also the long-planned Chicago Harbor development, and that's why they're there. As far as cars on the dock, that's not a part of their mandate. If you would dig a little deeper, you would realize that those cars come and they go. So we can move them probably in July, we can move them in August, but trust me, by September they'll be back. So, and as far as the current cost in government, like I said when I started, since those vessels been lodged in the harbor of Chicago in the mud, a government in their wisdom used $1.5 million of supplement from around the yachts without taking out the yachts. So we talk about the current expenditure. It would be nice if common sense would prevail and we clean them up and nothing comes back. But it seems to me as if every time there's a change in the administration, common sense goes out the window. Usually it goes out the window to spite me, but it doesn't matter because I'm still around. And it's the people of Chicago that suffers, not me. I'm back again here now trying to get things in order. And hopefully with the help of everyone, we'll get things in order again. Despite the limitations.
Any other questions? Comments?
I'm asking this one on behalf of Barbietta's crew. Once the boats are taken out of the harbor and crushed, what happens to the material? Stays on island or is it shipped overseas?
So that's part of basically the requirements that's currently on the tender, that the disposal, let's say for example with the fiberglass, initially we were thinking that there would have been a possibility of disposal at the public dump site. But in conversations now with the Ministry of Health, all of us are aware of hotspots and essentially the flammability of fiberglass and prohibits us from doing that. So even if it may have been done in the past, because some persons may be aware of that, that is something that it's not allowed as part of their policy. So what we said in the tender is that if you have option, I would say, or a way to dispose of it locally as it relates to the fiberglass, the metal and the aluminum and all of those things, we expect those will have to be taken out. The Department of Waste Management is willing to discuss with contractors about the disposal of the wood. That might be a part of it. And essentially come up with a plan. So it's essentially 100% on the contractor that takes this on to remove and dispose of them, whether locally or overseas. And that should be part of the bidding document to say, well, we're shipping it to Antigua, we're shipping it to wherever, to whatever facility, and this is what's happening.
I know that there might be a propensity for people to find ways to slow the project down and stall it, even render it obsolete. But all those roadblocks that will be thrown up as to where you can and how you can dispose of the vessels, I'm sure the RDA and the ministry is prepared to work with people. If you ask me, I will tell you my preference would be for them to leave the territory. I'm sure that the kind of monies that we're going to be spending to do this could indeed accommodate foreign disposal. But what I don't want is for any quick fix. If anyone planning on coming with some form of quick fix, they might as well not even try to undertake the process, involving themselves in the process. And at the same time, I don't want to discourage anyone from involving themselves. I think we have capable people here who can do the work. They just have to engage themselves to involve people who are expert in the field of doing this kind of stuff, and they will see that they're capable. They will see their capabilities. Sometimes most you need sometimes is to be able to read and comprehend, and also be willing to partner with others. And more times than not, if you're willing to do those things, you can be a successful candidate. Yes? Anyone who wants to speak?
So since the Harbour...
Can you identify yourself, please? Because
Sorry, my name is Aaron Carolan.
We're streaming, yeah.
Sorry about that. Will the harbour be marked with buoys when the vessels are removed, just in case motorists comes into the district? They will know exactly where not to sail, where to sail, since the harbour won't be dredged at that period of time.
You mean during the time of
after you have removed the vessels?
After the vessels?
Yes.
I would imagine that's something that can be arranged between the commercial shipping registry and even my ministry can participate in such engagement. That's something that can be arranged. But that's not part of this exercise. Just remember, the exercise that we are here with tonight is to remove those vessels. In the broader context, that's a conversation that my ministry, and even at my district level, we can entertain those things that are beneficial to the residents of the area and those who are doing business in the area. And we don't want to disrupt what we're doing here now. We don't want to disrupt the activities that are taking place in the area, whether it's commercial or pleasure. I know there are people who have pleasure boats. I know there's commercial business going on in the harbor. So it's for you now to engage the RDA and let them know what you think might happen to your business or your pleasure activities during the time of the removal of the vessels. And that's what public consultation is all about. Isn't that what you're doing? That's what you're here. And April is giving you her contact number. April is a highly paid individual. It's commensurate with her talent. So she is prepared to engage you, or you engage her, to discuss what's going on at the time.
I just had one more question, and I'm thankful that I could rely on some highly paid individuals like April to have grievances. But in terms, I know the way the tender is constructed as you described. I mean, it gives a wide array of options for contractors in terms of operations and disposal and methodology and so on. So I may have missed it, but did we have a budget for the project or proposed or approximate budget?
Actually, we did put it out there, Minister. We didn't tell them how much you gave us, but we did say as part of the contract bid what the estimated, but our estimated budget is for the works.
What or estimated? Sorry. To make sure it's clear.
I know you're listening. So this is something as part of a policy now that we are adopting, because one of the things that we don't want is persons either overbidding or underbidding. And it's something where, again, when ministries give the RDA an assigned budget, it is for us to essentially stick to that. So in the case of this project, we would have published, I believe it was 900,000. This is based on historical data from the previous tender as it relates to what was initially put out. So it's something where, that is the budget that we have for that. So once the market comes back in and essentially the bids are done, we have an idea. But you also as a bidder have an idea of what it is we are essentially earmarked to carry forward. Because as, again, all of us know there are other areas that need to be addressed. So in terms of the ministry's overall budget, we're going to try to essentially maximize as best as we can.
Just to make information, the contractor says that 900,000
Yeah. Okay. Well, please submit your bid so that we can confirm that.
The representative will join committee and legislature get us set.
Okay.
That's probably the reason we have the RDA. Totally apolitical. Isn't that true? Yeah, apolitical?
Yes.
Yeah. You need your own mic.
Kathy Richards. Are persons from contractors out of the territory permitted to bid? Is it an open bidding process where you allow both local, regional, and international persons to bid?
So the current process that we're using, it was national competitive bidding. However, because of online advertisements, it doesn't preclude persons from contacting us and requesting the bid package. And based on our policy, we would be required to share that with them. So we had the bidders conference 2 days ago in terms of persons who were interested, and we're essentially moving forward from there.
And Kathy, this is post COI, so I can't even, when I look at the people here, I don't know who's from my district, who's from Eastern Longlook, Kingan, whatever, because OCOI. So that's where the RDA comes in. You don't know the difference. It's open. Okay, everyone seems, those of you who are not baffled seem satisfied. And I think the RDA is satisfied that they've done their part by bringing it out to the public. I think I'm comfortable in the fact that I know that the project will be executed. One way or the other, it will be executed. We got the funds. We got a competent agency to run the project. People of Secaucus have adequately discussed the nuisance. Probably discuss with me too, but it doesn't matter. I'm going to do what I always do, satisfy the people. And I trust me, we're going to get those vessels up. Even if I gotta send Will up out there with a crowbar and all kind of stuff, pull them out and put them out. And a little camera.
On schedule and within budget.
I'm here to, it's gonna be done on schedule and within budget. Because I have some other things in Chicago I wanted to do out here. Can't give you that until we finish this one. I want to see how good you are. To me. I know you're good, but I don't know. You haven't done anything for me yet. So. We'll see.
Alright, so you transition.
Yeah, well, like I said, you can stay on for further discussions for matters in the district outside of the work of the RDA. And we have some stuff over there. I wouldn't mention what it is, but it's over there. You could, on your way out, you could pick it up. You could stick around. That's it for me.
Well, I just want to say that on behalf of the Ministry of Environment, Natural Resources and Climate Change, and my apologies for not introducing myself. My name is Tessa Smith-Paxton. I'm an officer at the Ministry of Environment, Natural Resources and Climate Change, obviously, and I'm representing Dr. Ronald Smith Berkeley, the Permanent Secretary, who is unable to join us this evening. So thank you all for joining us. I think this was a good meeting and we got this information out there, and please bid on the project. We need to get those derelict vessels out of the harbor. So thank you and have a good evening.
Thank you.